Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, I told you, engine. Look at that, up 8.5%, right? I mean, it's doing a lot better than the rest of the market. I mean, look at Theta though. Theta's back up to almost $1.40. I mean, it just seems like the other day it was at $1.17, and it's exactly what we talked about. Look at Fetch. Wow, up 15%. That's another one we were talking about. So yeah, it's looking really, really good. Bitcoin, wow, Bitcoin is starting to really pump up the jams here, almost up 5% here. It's back above 63,000. This is exactly what we talked about according to the fractal we were looking at. So it's really nice when things work out the way you envision them working out. So, but yeah, I mean, basically every day for the last week, we were basically tracking this fractal here, which I put them side by side. You can kind of see them a little bit better here. So essentially, right, you had this kind of a flat top. Just to run through it real quick, we came down, 3 waves up, flat top, we came down, 3 waves up, and then you can see we made a low. Actually, this was a slightly higher low. This one made a new low. But what's interesting is it rolled up and then bam, it flushed the low. It rolled up, bam, flushed the low. So far, so good, right? I don't see anybody else talking about this fractal, at least not from what I've seen. So I think it's kind of unique in that way. Because the thing is, when so many people look at the same fractal, then people trade exactly what other people are trading. And if you have too many people on the wrong side of the trade, you get a short squeeze or you get a long squeeze, right? So we don't want that. So you kind of have to keep it under the radar a little bit. Um, so we came, we flushed the low, and then what did we do? We started rolling back up here and started making this little roundabout, and we talked about that a lot back in specifically right through in here. And the fractal, right, we came up, we took this high here, and then we rolled down and we kind of went sideways a little bit, and then we took the top. So same thing here, we had this little roundabout, we went sideways, we came up here, we took the top just like this one here, and then what did we do? You can see, and this is kind of where it deviates a little bit, but nothing's perfect. I think it's because it's on, I should have had it on a smaller time frame, but you can see how we essentially came up and we took the top. Same thing here. We came up and we took the top. But I think what happened is it came up so fast, right? It came up so fast that it needed this little bit of a pullback here, whereas this one was more so like trending sideways. So now we fast forward today, right? And what do we see? Well, if we continue dragging along, look at this. Boom. So now we had that pullback, right? It was a roundabout. We came up, we took the top, we came back down, right? We pulled back a little bit, and then bam, we hit the top again, breaking this high. Had a little bit of an ABC pullback, kind of went sideways a little bit, and now boom, blast off. Well, not blast off, but you know what I mean. It's pumping. It's pumping nicely. This is what we want. I mean, look at this. We were at just back over here when we were talking about that fractal. We were at 56,000. And literally a week later, the price has already went up $7,200, $7,000 in 7 days. So we've been going up about $1,000 each day on average. So that's a good sign. Now, we're not out of the woods yet, right? But this is the step in the right direction, and this is what we want. This is what we talked about. So what else is happening? Well, let's go back and see if we can look at the fractal again and see if we can get any indication of where it might be heading. And then also we're going to jump into XRP, we're going to jump into Matic, we're going to jump into Theta. I mean, Theta is doing really well. I mean, look at Fetch also, like I said, and then also Engine. I said Engine's got a pretty unique potential, and you know, it's going in the right direction. Is exactly what we want to see. So, where is Bitcoin headed? Well, you can see right now we're breaking out, right? And this is another thing too we talked about. This is why, you know, if you haven't subscribed, I highly recommend it. I know my video is a little bit long, but, you know, I think it's going to be very useful for people, especially if you're new to crypto, if you're investing, if you're hodling, if you're trading. So I definitely think, you know, because I would have never started my channel if I didn't think I could provide value, because there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that do a lot of different analysis. I've watched a lot of them. Some of them are unique, some of them are more the same. So I thought, well, how am I going to be any different, right? So that's where I'm challenging myself to be different and come up with different things, right? And I like to use Elliott Wave. I like to use fractals. I like to use TD sequential, right? And by the way, we're on a very super rare 2-week 9 buy on the TD sequential. And I'm going to show you that too, and much more. But, you know, basically right here we have this resistance line, and you can see all of this points right in here. Boom, boom, boom. So you can see obviously we're breaking out. So we have obviously a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. So the measured move of that would be approximately ballpark about 67K, which would get us probably near that, I want to say 786. Let's see. No, 886. Even better, even better. So if we hit the measured move of this, we're going to be at that 886, which means that's the last real retracement level we need to get through, you know, in order to combat that down wave that we just had, right? And what is the overall structure of this wave? Well, it comes down to 2 counts, and I'm going to get into the small time frame fractal in a second. But what I really wanted to show is either this is going to be, or this is a WXYXZ. That's idea number 1. That supports what? A big move to the upside. What's idea number 2? Idea number 2 is that this right here is a B wave. Boom. That's a 3-wave move right there. Okay. And I'm highlighting the B wave because here's A, right? And then here's your 3-wave move here. That's B. And now he came down for C. So it's kind of a complex ABC here. Look at that. Donald Trump live. Let's go. So, yeah, if we can get back up here at the 886, 67K, I mean, we're a hop, skip, and a jump away from breaking the all-time high here. And I think that is coming. It is not financial advice. I could be totally wrong. There is a bearish idea that I've talked about many times. I think the only bearish outcome there is if something systematically breaks down in the economy, like a recession, the labor market, inflation, just a credit freeze, a cyber attack. I mean, there's so many different black swan events that could occur, especially during an election year, right? They're all out trying to get Trump. You know, they try to assassinate him. They're trying, you know, if Trump gets elected, it's game over for the deep state. They know that, right? So, you know, they're really on their last leg here. And they know they can't win with Kamala. So I believe, just like how they switched Kamala out with Biden, I think they're going to switch Kamala out with somebody else because her poll numbers are dropping. So she's not likable. I mean, she doesn't know how to speak. She's never done a press conference. You don't know where she stands. She's a puppet, and that's what puppets do. So anyways, if you're a supporter of crypto, I highly recommend voting for Trump because, I mean, even if you don't like the guy, you know, at the end of the day, we vote with our wallets, right? We don't vote based off our emotions. We vote based off our wallets and really our sovereignty. So anyways, but this is idea number 2. So basically it's an ABC and we're retracing. And if we can break out of here, it's going to be a 5th wave. And that ABC is part of the 4th wave, or it is the 4th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if we have that 5-wave move, then we're probably going to get an alt season during this time. So another way it could happen is if, you know, speaking about the bearish idea, right? Like, again, some type of event that occurs, maybe a stock market meltdown, or who knows what it could be, right? The point is, if we get something like that, then we're probably going to come down and backtest 30K, between 30 and 40K, okay? So we'll probably come up a little bit more, get rejected, maybe come up again, and then bam, have some sort of crash down here, right? And then we go sideways for a little bit, go into reaccumulation, and then blast off at a later day. I think if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen between now and when Trump takes office, right? Because that's what I would think where that event would take place. So, and again, if that happens, it's something very similar we've seen before, right? Which is, so here's your 30 to 40K reaccumulation zone right in here. So same thing here. There's your zone here. So you have a rise, crash, retrace that broke the high. We came down into reaccumulation. We go sideways. That means we come down. We go into reaccumulation. We go sideways. That's the bearish idea, right? And that totally could happen. So if it happens, you know, hey, it is what it is. But no matter what happens, we're going to benefit massively. Why? Because think about it. If we break out, our portfolios are going to be jumping up and down saying, yes, right? We did it. If we break down, our portfolios are going to be sad, but we're going to have a lot of time between now and then to reaccumulate, right? Because, you know, just because you crash doesn't mean you stop working. I assume everybody has a job or has some type of income, right? And they take that income, maybe they take 1%, maybe they take 2%, maybe they take 10% of their paycheck every month or every week or whatever, and they put it into crypto. And you're putting it in, and you're week after week after week after week after week after week after week. And then when you blast off, now your portfolio's really, 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 really happy. Right? Because if we do that, I think we can get above 150, 175K. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think we can get between 80 and 120K. You say, well, why would we go higher if we did the bearish route? Because we would reset the momentum and we would build a lot of structure in here. Right? Because think about it. We've been going up since 2023, the beginning of 2023. So we've been going up for 2 years, basically, with a little bit of a correction here and a correction here, right? So this whole wave is one wave. So if we came down and we reset, then this is a completely different wave, right? Which would set up a new wave to the upside, which means you'd have more momentum moving higher. So we'll see how all that plays out. I'm thinking, you know, again, if the environment is fine, I think we're going to get a breakout. This looks very corrective, meaning it's bullish, right? I mean, you have this bullish move up and this overlapping structure down. We're flagging out. We got a nice engulfing candle there. Let's take a peek at the weekly. It is Friday. Look at that. We got a nice looking weekly candle. Very beautiful. That's a thick candle there. And it's engulfing these two doji candles. And like I said here, when this candle closed, So basically for 2 weeks now, when this candle closed, we had a big doji here. And you can see this big red candle drops to the downside. Then we have a doji and then another doji, which means we're probably going to get at least a bounce, right? So you can see this big candle here, and now you cut that candle in half, and look, that's exactly where we're at. So this is where the real work begins, right? Because right somewhere in here is going to be where the decision is going to be met. Are we going to get rejected and go down into reaccumulation, or are we going to get that fifth wave? That decision is going to come in very soon. So we'll see how that plays out. Historically, October through December has been bullish, but I did see somewhere, let me see if I can find it. Look at this. I saw somebody share this. I have to go back and do some due diligence and see if it's all accurate. But essentially, it's kind of mirroring what we did back in 2016, right? So January was green, February was green, both in 2016. I mean, it's basically matched up perfectly. So if that's the case, then we should have a green September. But the problem is we would have a red October, a red November, and a red December. So it's exactly the opposite of what would happen, right? And you can kind of see the similar kind of situation here. So, you know, that's a little bit worrisome. And then let me explain, if that happened, let me show you how that would look. Because we got to, you know, it's very bullish today. We got a bullish market. I'm bullish. I think we're going to break out. I think we're moving in the right direction. There's a lot of different fractals. We have the 2-week 9 buy. There's a lot of things, but I would do a disservice if we didn't talk about the bearish ideas. Now, let me show you, if this situation occurred, what would it look like? So here we have Ethereum, and let me put the bull market support band on. So if you look closely right here, you could see what happened. Essentially, we had this 3-wave move down that broke the bull market support band. Then we came up in a retracement, and then bam, we hit the low. And then we went sideways a little bit, and then we blasted off. So Ethereum could be somewhere right here, where we continue to move up, but then we get slammed back down later on. So let me show you how that would kind of look here. So let me actually go to the higher time frame so we can kind of fit it all on one screen for a moment. So you can kind of see the side-by-side comparison here. So you could see right here we have a 3-wave move that took below the bull market support band. Same thing here, 3-wave move that broke below the bull market support band. Then this came up, crashed down, blasted off. So if that were to happen, then we could see something like this, where we continue to move up. Here's the bull market support band, right? We continue to move up, and then bam, we come down hard, retesting these areas over here, right? Kind of go sideways a little bit, then blast off like a mega moon launch. And that would line up with our original bearish idea, which is what? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. So, you know, but even if we did have a bearish idea, I would still expect a little bit of a retracement back up and then crash down. So this is kind of the main bearish idea. So this is the main bearish idea. And what that would be is basically a bigger 3-wave move. So you have 3, probably come up in 3, and then you come down in 5. So A, B, C, back down to home base, right? Here's your base right here. Here's another base here, and the whole thing is one base. We broke above the base, and we could have an ABC back down and back test that base. Play around here a little bit, and then mega moon launch. And that would make sense because that would come along right where Trump takes office, right? And the reason I keep harping on that is because there's a lot of business people who are very bullish on crypto if Trump gets in, because all he wants to do is strengthen the economy and let the horse run, right? That's what a horse was made for, right? It's let it go. Um, Whether that's a business application, utility application, because because if we don't do it, other countries are going to do it. And it's all about America first for and it should be that for each country, right? If you're in the UK, it should be UK first. If you're in Canada, right? You got to have that competitive edge when it comes to your country, and I think Trump has that for sure. And crypto is going to be a big deciding factor when it comes to, the world of DeFi, the financial system, payments, different utility applications. And it's all about finding those applications and applying them to our real world economy. But we need what? We need regulation. We need Gary Gensler fired. We need to get that it passed the House. Senator Loomis' bill passed the House. We need it to pass the Senate. We need Trump to sign it. And then what? And then look for XRP ETF. Look for more, altcoin ETFs. Look for a basket of altcoins ETF, maybe like a top 20 ETF or something like that, right? So, I think, there's going to be more crypto companies booming right now. But the problem is we've been kind of held behind because we had what? Well, we had C19, which kicked off a major printing campaign, right? Printing a lot of money, which is ultimately kind of good for crypto, but it weakened the economy. And then also we have, all this reckless government spending, and it's just a lot of, cobwebs all over our economy, and we need a big pressure washer to clean them all off. And I think, crypto is going to be a big driving force in our economy in the next boom phase, right? So, but yeah, that's sort of the bear fractal. Let's see how it plays out here. So, okay, enough of the bears. Let's get to the bulls. So the bullish idea is essentially, let's see here. We came down and we back tested. We already back tested it, right? So we had a 1, 2, 1, 2. And this could be another 1, 2 with an ABC back test here, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of go sideways a little bit. Let's go sideways a little bit. Maybe like that picture said, right? Maybe we do get green, and then we have October red, red, red. But if we did have October red, November red, December red, we're going to have a very big green January, February, March. So maybe we don't have that big blow off ending phase this Q4, October, November, December. Maybe we have it in, this coming spring in 2025, which would make sense because, again, who's the new president in 2025? Where's all the optimism, right? So, yeah, we'll see. So how would that look like? Well, if I go down to the smaller time frames here, a little bit smaller, we could get some sideways movement, right? Maybe get a little bit of a pump here in September. Crash. Here's the bull market support band. We hit it. And then we come down October, right? Maybe go up a little bit, and then we come down November, come up a little bit, and then maybe we come down in December. And that's where your red months come in, right? And then once we hit January, boom, we just take off, right? So maybe we have some kind of like falling wedge in here, maybe some kind of, diagonal pattern, or probably wouldn't be that, but yeah, maybe, some type of diagonal or maybe some type of inverse head and shoulder. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but essentially what it would be is a lot of times when you have a big dump and you have a big pump. Now, this pump's going to keep going all the way to September, right? This is an idea according to that chart we just looked at, right? Trying to figure out, well, if we do have a red October, red November, red December, then how's that going to look? Well, again, look at your bull market support band. Let me just put this right here, and I'll go down like that, right? And we're still quite a ways away from it, and I'm using Ethereum as an example. Let's see, here we go, start to move our way up here, right? And then maybe get up way up here, right? So that's a pretty big move from the low, which is, what's the percentage of that? That's about a 50% move, just about. And then what happens, right? And then you kind of flag out a little bit, flag out, right? You're just kind of dwindling down, making everybody believe, okay, maybe it was just a dead cat bounce and it's all over. But what we're getting is just a bigger what? Roundabout. Remember, we talked about those roundabouts. We get a bigger roundabout here, and then we kind of go sideways a little bit into December, right? And then once January hits, or the end of December, boom, we just take off. So that, my friends, is a brand new idea that I wanted to show you guys. So we have the main bullish idea for Bitcoin, which is getting that fifth wave. But maybe, so if that happens, how does that look for Bitcoin? Right? How does that look for Bitcoin? I'm actually going to save this. Okay, so let's go back to Bitcoin here. So yeah, we're pumping pretty nicely. We're attempting to get back above the bull market support band. Maybe we get back up here, right? And then we actually break out. And Ethereum doesn't break out because it's a lot further down, right? So Bitcoin breaks out, and then what do? Well, I can envision, right, the breakout happening, and then, because we're starting way down here. So by the time we get up here, we're going to lose a lot of momentum. And if we break out, we're going to lose even more momentum. So this massive wave, if it does break out, is going to need a long, drawn-out correction. So something like this, and then go, right? So we kind of flag out in here a little bit. The bull market support band kind of comes up a little bit, and then it starts to reset, and maybe it catches. You can start to see it catching it, right? And then take off. So that's an idea that I have not presented yet. Because basically, the idea was pretty bleak, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, if it's 5, then how is it 5? Well, then what we would see here, guys, is this is wave 1 of 5. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So it'd be a pretty massive wave, probably getting us up here to 100K. So this could just be wave 1. And inside of wave 1, we're in the middle of wave 3. So 1, 2, let's get up here 3. We'll flag out 4, and then we get 5. And then we have this long, drawn-out correction between now and the middle of the year. And now, why am I saying that? Because if you look at this, we're supposed to get, according to this, right, if we're doing something similar to 2016, we should get green. We should have a green month this coming month in September, right? And then October, red, November, red, December, red. So if we're going to have 3, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if we're going to get a red, these 3 months are going to be red, then how does that translate to the chart? And the only way I can see it is something like this, right? Where we pump up between now and September, right? And let's see, where's the end of September? Actually, it'd probably be even a little longer. I would say even if it's not exactly on the last day, it would still be a positive month because we're looking at the monthly candles here. So let's actually go to the monthly chart. Okay, so it's a little bit wonky. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the smaller charts just so we can get more details of what we're looking at. So, yeah, we get up here sort of the end of October or end of September. And then October we go down, November we go down, and then December we flatten out, but it's still kind of down, it's still kind of red. And then January we just take off. So that would make sense. And what that would be, guys, is you have, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A. Let's see. Was that B there? Yeah. B and C. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what the heck is that? That is obviously your impulse. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in this fifth wave, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, so there you go. That's kind of the main idea right now. And that would make sense according to that bearish look. So then, okay, if that happens, then how does that translate into the altcoins? Because that's another big question, right? If we're going to drag low, right? Because a lot of time, let me show you an example here in XRP. And this is going to be a good example. So we'll go to XRP. We'll go down to the 2-day chart. By the way, while I'm getting it, if you could hit that like button, that's always very much appreciative. Actually, let's go down to the 10-hour chart. And let's go right here. Okay, so here's a good example here. So you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had 5 waves down, right? Or you actually, it was actually more of, you had an A, you come up in a B, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 C. So you had an A, B, C, a big dump, right? And that's what we had too. Similar. So then what happened? And then we came up in a retracement. We started pumping, right? Which cut it in half, 50%. Now for Bitcoin, it's different, but this is the altcoins, right? So for Bitcoin, it would have, you know, we're coming up here and then we flag out, right? So you can see that's exactly what happened with XRP. And we came down, we pumped up, and then what did we do? We're flagging out, we're flagging out, we're flagging out, we're going down, we're going down. It makes you think that we're going to crash. It basically kills the sentiment, resets the oscillators, resets the momentum, sort of goes into accumulation, the volume dwindles down, people sort of forget, leverage dwindles down, right? And what does that do? It recalibrates the chart. It resets the momentum. And you basically have this big flag here. You're dwindling down. And then what happens out of the blue? Rocket ship. So that, my friends, is what probably could happen here when you look at it. So now let's translate that to what we see. So for example, let's look at theta and see if we can... we're basically entertaining this idea. So this is one idea, and we're entertaining it. So how would it happen with Theta. Well, first of all, let me go back to XRP real quick and let me show you this before I do that. And this is really gonna be very interesting. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, dump. Retrace, flag out. We're flagging out, down, 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 and then rocket ship. Okay, so keep that in mind. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, retrace, flag out, explosion. Okay, now think about that. Now watch this. We'll go to Theta. Now what do we have, guys? What do we have? What do we have? Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So far, so good, right? We had 7 waves, just like XRP did. And it's not comparing XRP Theta. It doesn't matter about the asset. Don't worry about if it's Theta. Don't worry about if it's Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. It's about the chart, right? So we had 7 down, and what do? We came up. We're pumping, 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 pumping. So I would expect it to pump a little bit more. And then what is it going to do? It's probably going to get rejected here, maybe with the bull market support band. And then what is it going to do? And then it's going to be long and depressing, right? So we're going to get up here, and then it's going to flag out, flag out, flag out, flag out. Okay, and it's going to be long, and it might take a couple months, right? And then what happens? And then we blast off like a mega moon launch. So there you go, guys. That's my main idea. And that's what I'm thinking now. So I'm basically taking the bullish idea along with some bearishness, right? Because, you know, it's not going to go up in a straight line, right? We had this double zigzag here. So that means it's not going to just rocket ship to the moon, right? Because you have this resistance, resistance, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of resistance. So just like here, you have a shoulder, right? And then also when it flags down, it's going to probably create a shoulder. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be October, November, December. It might only be a month, right? We might only drag down a month. So, yeah. So if, let's say we get up here and then we kind of flag out a little bit and then go, right? Some kind of falling wedge. So you have a shoulder, a head, and then a shoulder right here. And then once you break out, it's a big, you're probably going to get rejected here a little bit. Come back, back test, fill in that gap. Remember we talked about that gap here, right? As soon as you break that, straight shot up. If you break it down, straight shot down. So there's like an open air pocket in here. So we got to fill in that pocket, right? Because when you're building a skyscraper, you don't want to have any weak points on as you build your way up. So, yeah, and then we just take off, right? Okay, so there you go. So that's kind of how it looks. Now let's translate that into XRP. But before I do that, let's kind of go back to XRP and see what happened after that happened. So let's go back over here. So you can see once we got back into the top here, we sort of had this ABC, and then we kind of went sideways a little bit, and then we took off. Okay, so let's go back to Theta, and let's say if that were to happen. So let's put our box up here, somewhere up there. Okay, so this is I'm foreseeing the future here, right? This is probably a good idea of what's going to happen. You know, especially when you have 7 waves. When you have 7 waves down, that first wave is always big, but then it always flags out. Okay? And is there any other examples? I think there is. I'm not going to go hunt for them, but let me just look on Bitcoin real quick here. So let's go to Bitcoin, and I don't know if I can go that far back on this. I think I can. Okay, so look at, I think it's, okay, right here. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, right here. Look at this. we have 1, 2. Okay. And then we had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 waves. And then what did we do? We exploded to the upside. And then what did we do? We flagged out, flagging out, flagging out, down, 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 depressing, crying to my mommy. No, it's going down, when in reality, it's just recalibrating. And then what do? You break out, you back test, and then you mega moon launch. So there you go, guys. And then what did it do? Well, we can't, obviously this was part of a retracement. This is in a different part of the cycle, so we can't compare that. So let's go back to theta. Okay, so now we have some confluence here, right? So this is what I believe is going to happen. We're going to get 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5. I really want 5. Okay, and we're going to hit this area, and then we're going to flag out in here, and then we're going to break out, probably back test, and then get up here. Somewhere between 250 and say 350. And then we have an ABC. Okay, let me extend the chart out a little bit more. Some type of ABC. And then you can see the bull market support band coming down. And then it actually resets itself. And now it's coming back up. And now we broke out. And now we're testing it. Now we're holding it as support. Right? And then what do? We come up. Maybe we come down. We go sideways a little bit. Maybe like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation sideways. And then we blast off. Okay? So that's probably like, I don't know who else is gonna move out that far, right? Most people want to know the next move, but this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is like 8 moves in advance. So it's very, very risky. I mean, it's more speculative, right? This is a massive speculation. This is not financial advice. I could be totally wrong. But this is what I'm thinking here. This, because I've always envisioned, okay, we have this move down. Again, we came down. We had this Wyckoff structure. We broke out. We back tested. Okay, so now what? Well, we're going to move up. Well, yeah, we know that. We've been talking about that. We're going to move up. And that's exactly what's been happening. We're moving up. But how does it move up? How does it go down? Right? How is it going to look between now and the end of the year? And how are we going to break out? How is it going to look? I'm a visual person. I want to see it. Right? So most people probably wouldn't go down that road. But I'm kind of going out on a limb here and kind of showing us what this is going to be, right? What this is really going to be here. So, yeah, I think it's a solid idea. And then also, when you look closely, you kind of got a shoulder, you kind of got a head, and you got another shoulder here. So, what would be the measured move of that? Let's see. If I put the line from here to here, and then I take that and I go right there, look at this, $7.30. Okay, so I'm going to move this back to here, and then I'm going to go to the 3-day chart. And actually, I got to go to the other theta chart. Where are you at? There you are. So remember, $7.30. Let's go right here. So right about there. So that's kind of the measure, and that would make sense, right? Why? Because you're sort of right in the thick of all of this resistance in here. Okay, and then once we get there, then we'll revisit the subject. Then we'll talk about, okay, now what's next, right? So, a lot of people think, oh, it's got to happen fast. I don't think so. I think it's going to take time. I think, I could see Bitcoin, and here's the other problem. If Bitcoin, let's put Bitcoin up, does what we thought, right? How it comes up, breaks the top, it flags out a little bit, and then it continues higher for that fifth wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. You know, that gets us to September of 2025, and that actually lines up with some time analysis that somebody I respect very much thinks as well. So as far as time goes, so yeah, we come up here in theta, we flag out, we come back up, ABC sideways, break out, come down a little bit, probably get some resistance in here, and then hopefully go up into expansion. Now the other way I can see it happening is, if that's not the case, then what I could see happening is, I have to do it all over. So flag out, we come up here, right? So then we would probably, instead of doing that, we'd probably have to come down into reaccumulation again and kind of go sideways and then blast off. So it'd be like, kind of like maybe like a 1, 2, 1, 2, but it's not really 3 waves or 5 waves. So something like that, where it has that Ethereum look to it. So let me go to Ethereum, like the two mountains, right? So there you go. You kind of got the two mountains going on here before the big breakout, right? Then you can argue, well, it's 3 mountains. Well, whatever. I think it's more like 2, but you could say 3, right? And then sideways, and then continue higher. So anyways, that's what I'm thinking here. And so I'm not going to be able to get to those other coins. I'm trying to be a little bit conservative with the time here. So for XRP, man, XRP is a different animal. I don't know. I think this thing's primed for blast off. So I think it's going to move up, and we're going to get, just like the rest of the market, right? It's going to move up probably into its retracement levels. And then what is it going to do? It's going to flag out, flag out, flag out. It's going to kind of come down here, right? Reset itself, maybe go sideways a little bit, and then break out, back test, and then mega moon launch. Okay. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take. It's probably not going to take that long. Let me draw that again. So that's the end of the year. Let's say we pump out of here October, and then we kind of flag out in here from now to the end of the year. So it's not that long, right? Just flag out a little bit here and then break out, something like that. And then it'll get us to these major areas, right? And then once we break that, I'm looking at this as 1, 2, 3, right? And then maybe 4, and then 5. Now XRP, I'm not as confident with that as I am with more Theta and Ethereum, Bitcoin. But anyway, it's actually going to be more bullish. I just don't have anything kind of to relate to, except what? Really, except a straight line up. I mean, that's really all we have here, and that might be what happens. I don't know. Something like that. Now, I don't think that's going to happen like that. I think it's going to be more complex. Definitely going to be smaller. But I would imagine we get up here, and again, we flag out and then break out. So something like that. But anyways, that's what I got here. I got to get to the small time frames fast. Yeah, I mean, we're moving in the right direction here. Look at this. We had a rise, we had a crash, we had a retrace, we came down, reaccumulation. We're going sideways here, right? So far, so good. Let's break out. Looks primed. Cup handle, go. And then also shoulder, head, shoulder. Okay, so that's also looking really good. All right, so let's go to Bitcoin, the small time frame. I think we already did that too. Oh yeah, that's right. We were gonna look and see what next in regards to the fractal. That's right. So let's go to a little bit of a higher time frame. And so here we have them kind of side by side here a little bit. Again, you got that flat top, the rollover, flat top, the rollover, and then kind of your little bit of a recovery, and then blast off, and then blast off. So yeah, I mean, I think we're on our way, guys. I think we're on our way. So next week, you know, I was kind of hoping we would consolidate a little bit. Maybe I'm sure we will, probably Saturday, Sunday, consolidate. I mean, I hope we do. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We kind of want to consolidate. That way it sets us up nicely for, for the next week. But also it's good that we're moving up too, because we want to get a strong weekly close. The weekly close is important. So if we look at the fractal here, you can kind of see that it went up and it broke the top. Went up, it broke the top. And then what did it do? It kind of went sideways here. Let me turn the bull market support band on. And look at that. Wow. Look where the bull market support band is. It's exactly where it's supposed to be according to the fractal. I think this is probably one of the best videos so far. So definitely in a long time. So definitely hit that like button and share it. It really helps if you share, and then also if you can leave a comment too. But also if you want to join the channel, you can become a member. I'm going to put a member video out most certainly this weekend, and going over a little bit more detail on how we can play our strategy here. So if you want to check that video out, just click join and, try it out for a month. And if you don't like it, just simply cancel. No big deal. But yeah, I think what we can see is something like this. Maybe we pump a little bit higher, and look at this. This one actually didn't even get to the bull market support band. I mean, it came right underneath it. This one is actually almost sticking above it. So that's pretty good. So yeah, we'll go sideways here. I'd like to see it break completely above it, and then back test, go sideways a little bit, and then pump again, right? And then you can see a little bit of an ABC, and then another pump. A little ABC, and then another pump. So, and if we look closely, look at that. That gets us back above the all-time high, or at least somewhere in the same vicinity, right? And then what do we expect next? Flagging out. And that's what probably Theta and the others are going to do so as well, right? And then once you get that long flagging out, so you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to drag out for a little while, maybe through October or November, and then I don't think it's going to last 3 months. I think it might not last too long, and then boom, a big pump to the upside, right? So we'll see how that plays out. Look at Ethereum Classic is moving up. I mean, I'll probably have to do a second video because there's just so much to get into here. Yeah, I mean, let's skim through them a little bit. I was gonna say scan through them. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine for ADA, maybe pull back a little bit, pump up, and then flag out, and then really rip to the upside. And now what would be even more bullish is if we can break out and then flag out at a higher point. So that's a little bit subjective. on where it's going to actually flag out. I think a big flag out is coming. I just don't know exactly where that could be, right? So when you look at this, we can get up here and flag out. I mean, we can get way up here and flag out. I mean, it really depends, right? So we'll look at VeChain, same thing. We're going to pump, flag out, go. Filecoin, man, I really wanted me some Filecoin. I can't pick them all, but yeah, you can see that here. Something like that. Or even down here, something like that. By the way, XRP, 4-hour engulfing candle. I want to see if we can close above this high here. We'll see. So here's Matic here. I mean, Matic was actually one of the best ones. I mean, it took off pretty nicely. And actually, BCB shared a pretty cool fractal about Matic. I'll go ahead and share that. So here's the first chart here, basically comparing it to BNB. You had this move up, move down, broke the low, you went sideways, move up, move down, right? Basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, kind of go sideways here, and then hopefully blast off. So that's another idea too. We might, you know, see how this went sideways. Well, if I zoom in to Matic, you know, instead of doing what we said, maybe come up here and flagging out, well, maybe we have to come back down and we're basically kind of going sideways here and just building a base and then break out. So that's another idea that we're going to talk about in the member video. So instead of it coming up and flagging out like we just said, maybe we kind of just consolidate, go sideways, then break out. So we'll talk about that. Here's another fractal, basically comparing the altcoin total altcoin market compared to Matic. Very, very similar. Here's the one I really wanted to show you. This is a good illustration here, right? I mean, you can see it basically kind of like an M shape, right? M shape. So you come down in your bear market, come down in your bear market, M shape, right? And then V-shape recovery, V-shape recovery. So we'll see. Do we go sideways here? Do we come up? Do we flag out? Then we go. There's a lot of different things. The video got cut out for a second. There's a lot of different things that could happen on the smaller time frame, but the overall direction should be up. Yeah. So I would imagine things like Matic to get back to their bull market support band, and then maybe correct a little bit. But yeah, we'll jump into that more so as time goes on. But man, what a successful day! Very, very, very successful day. Now, since Matic had already moved up, it's kind of doing a little bit of a doji here. Let me see if we're on a 9. No, we're not on a 9, so we're still got some momentum here. ICP looking really, really good. I'm glad I bought that. XRP versus Bitcoin is back above the bull market support band, so I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of consolidate here a little bit and then continue higher. Same goes with Ethereum. You see we had a daily 9 sell, and look at that, it called the exact top, so maybe we get an ABC, back down to the bull market support band, continue higher. Okay, so I think the last one would be Fetch. I mean, we're right back to where the breakdown point is, so we'll see what happens in here. But yeah, you can see we have the 9 buy right there, and we broke above the red dots. And look at that, as soon as we broke above those red dots, that's when it was activated. And if you go to the 2-week chart, we're also on a 2-week 9 buy. Look at that. Perfect. We don't want it to get too high because then it might flip the count and give us a, you know, we want it to still stay a 9. So we got 2 days left. And I think that was about it. Just real quick on here on Monero. I mean, I'm still eyes on Monero. This is a pretty significant area. So, you know, looks pretty bullish here. It looks like we have a 1, 2, 1. We have an ABC pullback, and then we have another 1, 2. So this could be a big third wave coming soon. So we'll see. hold on tight, buckle up. Let's see what happens. Not financial advice. It can go either way, but it looks like it's going to go up. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.